Hello to everyone and welcome on this YouTube channel. So this is tutorial number 12 of our training concerning C programming language. Today we are going to start with something very important concerning programming. So I'm calling it control structure. Good. Now, control structure is a general concept you are supposed to master when you are studying algorithm. So here we are going to concentrate on the practical part. So the first question you ask yourself is, what is a control structure? So please, as you are seeing the word here, control. Good. Control simply means that we are controlling the way something is functioning. Good. Now structure simply means we are talking about a particular way of doing things. Now that is why generally when we are defining control structure, you'll be saying that a control structure is used to determine the flow of execution of an algorithm. The flow of execution of an algorithm, or you say a control structure. Since we are in programming, you are going to say the control structure determine the flow of execution of a program. Or another person will say a control structure determine the order in which instruction of a program is executed. Good. It's exactly that when we talk about control structure. Meaning that the control structure will determine if you are executing your algorithm maybe in order, if you are executing maybe your algorithm and there are some instructions you'll be repeating during the execution, if you are, I don't know, if you are jumping lines when you are executing your algorithm, all those things, that order in which you are executing your program, or maybe the flow of execution, meaning how you are moving when you're executing your program, is what we call control structure. I think the definition is very clear. Now, concerning the type of control structure, generally we have the three main types. It's true that I've just added a jump statement, because jump statement in fact is an old way to control the flow of execution of an algorithm when you are working with imperative programming language. So the first type of control structure is what we call a sequential control structure. So let me just define each of them. Sequential control structure is a control structure in which a program is executed line by line from start to end. Good. So it simply means that here we are not jumping any line when we are executing our instruction. And if you analyze very well all the different programs that you have been writing up to here, we are using what? A sequential control structure. It's true that there are some programs where we did not use sequential control structure because there we are having condition, and when you're already having a condition in your program, it simply means what? That you cannot execute everything, because based on that condition you'll be choosing what to execute. Good. The next thing to know about sequential control structure is that it's a control structure in which there is no condition. Good. No condition. That's why we are talking about executing a program line by line from start to the end. So you are not jumping any line. And if you are not jumping any line, it simply means that there is no condition in fact. So you are just executing it from start to end. So good. So we are not going to practice sequential control structure because I remember there is a program we did, I don't know, maybe it's tutorial number 5, something like that. Good. Where we did a program to sum two numbers, meaning collecting two numbers from the user, calculating the sum and displaying the result. That's a good example of a sequential program. Why? Because step 1 you collect the integers from the user, step 2 you calculate the sum, step 3 you display the result. So you are seeing that there is no condition in that program. We are executing everything, every line of instruction of the program for us to have the result. Now the next thing here is number 2, decision or selection, or another name here is what we call choice. So it's not all, either you say decision or selection or choice control structure. Good. So this is just a control structure in which a block of instruction is executed based on a condition, and there's a precision. A block of instruction is executed once. Please precise it. Meaning it's not possible to execute an instruction twice. No. By the time you are executing an instruction more than one time, you are already in loops. You are already in a repetition control structure. Good. Here we are executing an instruction just once. Meaning what? If I want to indicate it here, you'll be having something like this. You will test your condition. After testing your condition, either you move to the right or either you move to the left. And if you are moving to right or left, everything is based on a condition. Meaning I'm going to test, is this condition true? If it is true, you go here. You see, if it is false, you go here, and you are the one choosing. You see. Good. Now a good example of decision or selection control structure is what we call the if else statement, the if condition, and it's also what we call the switch case. So we are going to study each of them. So we are going to start with the if condition. After the if, you are going to move to the if else, After the if else, we are going to move to switch case. Good. And this is very important for computer science students. At the level of the ICT student, the only thing important for them is the if else. Good. Ordinary level is the same thing, but advanced level computer science, all of this is very, very important for them. Good. Now, so we are going to start gradually the if statement. Now, what's the structure of the if statement? You just have something like if, open your bracket, you write your condition, you open your braces and you close it back. Good. So yeah, I'm not going to waste time with this one. This is just an example code here. So the if condition, in fact, this is just a selection control structure where we have only one condition and one set of instructions to execute, meaning that we don't have more than one set. An example, let us see this code. So here I'm having my preprocessor directive, good, for standard input and output, of course, because this code must display something. So I need this instruction. The next thing is what? The in main. You open your braces as usual. Good. So here what am I doing? I'm declaring a variable called num, and in that variable I'm initializing with the value what? 10. So it means that num here is equals to 10. Then the next thing, look at what I'm doing. I'm saying that if this is my condition here, if num is greater than 0, I open my braces and I display a message inside saying that the number is positive. I close. So you are seeing that there is no else. If there is no else, it simply means that when you test this condition, if the condition is true, enter and execute what is inside the if. But if the condition is false, nothing. You stop the code, return 0 directly. So there is no else like what you are supposed to do in case of false condition. You see. Good. We don't care about the false part. We are only concentrating here about the true part. In fact, like when this is true, what are you doing? Good. If it is false, you are not doing something. Good. Now we are going to study the next one, which is if else statement, where now you have two options. Like when it is true, you are doing this. When it is false, you are doing by the other part. So this is just a sample example on how to use the if statement, and you'll be seeing that, especially computer science students, when we are going to answer past this equation together, you'll be seeing that this is very important. Important in the sense that there are some conditions that when you are testing, there's no need to precise what you're supposed to do for the else part. No, you see. Meaning what is interesting for you is just the true part. You just want, in fact, to know what happened if the condition is true. You don't care about what is happening if the condition is false. So this is very important. Now we go to the next one. The next one here is the if else statement. Good. Now let us take an example of the if else statement. So this is the structure here. So make sure you have your notebook and you copy this. Good. Now the only difference here is when you say if, you open your bracket condition. Now you open your braces, you write the code there. Now if that condition is false, what happens? Else is to give what? The instruction to execute if this condition is false. So please never forget, the true statement is inside the if and the false statement is inside the else. Okay, so we are going to take a small example. Now imagine that I think it's not new for you. Okay, let me just open my dev C. So at this level 5, new 5, source 5. Good. Now what did I say? That when you create the file, first thing is what is to save. So let me just save my file. Yeah, I will save it desktop. Where's my folder? Remember that at the beginning we created. Okay, so it gives the name of the file. So we give the name of the file. Let me just call it selection control structure. Normally here it's good to precise, you see, like precise if else, so that you know that okay, inside this file you were doing something like this. Good. So the advice is generally when you are giving name of file, please don't leave space in between them. Good. So after doing it, the next thing is what? Don't click on save. Never forget, please go to save as type and you choose save source file. Remember that this software is used for C++ and C program, so you need to be precise. Good. So that when as you are writing your name here, the software, or let me call it the IGE, will add the extension automatically for you. That's why you're seeing when I'm choosing C source file, it's already recognizing the other file inside my folder. That's why you're seeing this. So I click on save now. Now you have the basic structure of the code. So yeah, I'm just trying to write a code that collects a number from a user. If that number is negative, display the message it is negative. Else display the message it is positive. So you are saying here I want to take care about the true part and the false part. So in that case I'm going to say in, let me just call that variable n. So I reserve space. Declaring means reserving space. Now you write a particular printf printf. In your printf, you ask the user to enter the number. Enter a number. Good. So remember that this is just the message that will appear. Now remember, good practice. After writing something like this, you Control S, you execute first to verify if everything is perfect. Good, everything is perfect. You are seeing that here you are having enter a number. Okay, here this is one mistake with my text. Let me just correct it very fast. Enter a number, not enter then a number. Okay, if you execute back, you see enter a number, but you're not able to enter a number. Just press any key on your keyboard. You're seeing that the terminal disappears automatically. Why? Because you need a scanf that will help you to collect that input. So I'm going to say scanf. Good. So remember, scanf in double quote, you precise the format specifier. I'm trying to collect an integer, so %d. You go out now, comma, you put your address symbol, you put the name of the variable to indicate the address of the location where you're trying to store what you'll be collecting from the user. Good. And remember that to indicate address, I'm just repeating myself, you take the name of the variable, you add this symbol beside. Good. So that this symbol plus your variable is giving what? The address of the memory location of n that you have reserved when you were declaring. Good. It's like the address of a house that I need to enter in that house. So yeah, perfect. If you Control S, you execute again, you are seeing that here now you have the opportunity to enter something. If I enter 5, perfect, that 5 is inside the memory now. Good. You see at the location n, but it's all what the code is doing. So that's why you're seeing that after the everything stopped. Now the next thing is I want to test now if the number is negative. So I'm going to say if n. Now remember that here, if I test if n is less than 0. Good. So we know very well that a number less than 0 should be a negative number from the number line. Now there's something I want to precise here. Look at something. After writing this, the next thing is why you open your braces. Please never forget that the if is working with block of instruction. That is why the instruction that is supposed to be inside the if should be enclosed with braces like this, opening and closing braces, because it is a block of instruction. Because sometimes students are funny. You see someone writing something inside the if, open the brace, the person is not closing it. So always open and close before writing the content. This is my advice to students. The advantage that we have today is that our software in fact have different functionality. Like you see, when you even open, it's going to close automatically. Like here, when I click on open, you see it's closing automatically. It's not for nothing, because this is a good way of practicing. Now here, I just want to display a message. Print f the number is negative. You put your /n for the next line. Good. Now the code is very flexible. In this code you can test but if, and okay, small precision. Let us consider that when a number is equals to 0, it is a positive number. So this is just a consideration I'm doing. It simply means another person can test if a number is greater than or maybe equals to 0. In this case, any number greater than or equals to 0 is what you consider as positive. If it is considered as positive, are you going to put again the number is negative inside here? No, you'll be putting the number is positive, so that it is the else part that you put the number is negative. But since here I've chose to test the condition but of a negative number, that's why I'm putting what the number is negative inside the if condition. So here what happened is, after writing this, you go out of the brace, meaning that you are done with this block of it. So never forget that brace open and close represent a block. So I'm done with the block of code to be executed if this condition is true. So the next thing now you write else. If you want to write this else on the next line, there's no problem. Now the else, since the else is another block of instruction, that's why you open and close again for the else. Good. And you write the block of instruction for that else. So don't go and write else if you don't open, you don't close. No. Or sometimes you see students writing else, they don't open but they close. What are you closing here? Know what you are closing. And now the advantage with the software is you have the possibility to click on a brace and you'll be seeing that there's a red mark here showing you where it is open and showing you where it is closed. Like here, look at something. When I'm clicking on this red mark, see where it is indicating at the level of the main that it is open there and closed here. Oh, this is not what I'm trying to do, you see. So generally this is how you manipulate, in fact, to know exactly where a brace is open and where it is closed. Good. Generally this brace at the level of the main should be closed where? At the bottom here, you see. Good. So you have seen that if you click and it is closed elsewhere, simply because you did a mistake at the level of braces somewhere in your code. So let me just come back this, in front of the else. Let me put it back. Good. Let me just arrange. Nice. Now go back again at the level of the main. You click there. You'll be seeing it is closing where? At the end here. So good. So the code is very flexible and clear. So don't be confused about small things. So here I'm going to say print f. So I don't want to waste my time typing. I will just recopy it. This is also a good practice in the exam. When you want to type similar thing, if the thing is already existing in your program, just copy, paste, and you change what you're supposed to change there. Good. So here I'm going to say the number is what? Positive. So it's all the number is positive. So we are done with the program. So let us execute it. If n, imagine that n is 5. Is 5 less than 0? No, 5 is not less than 0. In that case, now seeing the condition is false, we are not going to execute what is inside the if, but we are going to execute what is inside the else, because what is inside the else represents the false condition. Good. Now imagine that the user enters something like -4. You test. Is -4 less than 0? Now imagine that the user enters something like -4. You test. Is -4 less than 0? Yes, it's less than 0. Seeing the condition is true, you execute by what is inside the if. So you are seeing that with the if else condition, it's not possible to execute both instructions at the same time. So very nice. So now here Control S and you click on execute. You enter number. So let me just enter 5. I'm supposed to see the number is positive. Good. You see. Now enter something like -2, -4. Okay, the number is negative. So you are seeing that when you are executing, you see the computer is not creating something. The result of the computer is based on the flow of execution of your algorithm. It's based on the instruction of your algorithm, or let me just say the instruction of your program if you want. Good. So if I'm doing a mistake here, expect a mistake also when you be executing your program, because sometimes students think that it's the compiler that is correcting your code. No. Make sure that the logic of what you're writing is correct. If it is correct, you'll be having exact result too. Good. So I think this way we are going to end with this video. In the next video, we are going to move now with nested, or we call it multiple if statement. Good. Now multiple if statement is simply when imagine that you have a program where you have multiple conditions, meaning that you have maybe more than 5 conditions. How are you going to handle it? Or more than 2 conditions? Good. So if you have any question, just ask in the comment section. So this way we are ending this video. See you in the next video. Ciao.